Thank you so much for joining us today. It is my pleasure to welcome you to today's program. This is Slade Suiter. And I am broadcasting from the Authenticity Radio Studios. Today's guests are two pilgrims on the journey of life. 13 countries, 13 months, and 5,000 miles from Rome to Jerusalem. Mony, Dojeiji, and Alberto Agraso, welcome to Authenticity Radio.
It is a pleasure to be here, Slade. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you so much.
I am so excited that both of you are here today, and I was thinking that it would be fun to offer our listeners a little taste of the flavor of your book, Walking for Peace, An Inner Journey.
Okay, thank you. Thank you again so much, Slade, for the opportunity to share our journey with your listeners. The book, as you mentioned, is called Walking for Peace, An Inner Journey, and it specifically speaks to the inner journey. I mean, in a book like this, which it's a memoir that is highlighting the walk for peace that Alberto and I did, a 5,000-kilometer pilgrimage that took us through 13 countries, and that saw us starting in Rome and ending in Jerusalem. That took us about 13 months. And the book, we really tried hard to make it less of a travelogue and focusing less on maybe the churches, the scenery, and focusing more on the experiences and the people that we met along the way who really challenged us to question everything that we thought we believed. Everything that we believed about peace, about love, about life, about the universe in which we live. You know, on a pilgrimage, which I'm sure many of your listeners would be well familiar with, you begin to question everything that you believe about yourself. You face the best of yourself and you face the worst of yourself. And so this book tries to be as authentic, which is why we love being on your radio program with Authenticity Radio.
Of course.
We found a perfect fit there. Tries to be as authentic as possible and to speak from the heart.
And you mentioned that in the book. A matter of fact, Alberto, you were encouraging Mony to continue to be authentic.
Yeah, because the book that we wanted to do is to bring something good to the world. Our intention was not really to write a book. It was continue walking, continue doing that we were doing, and then the book was a perfect opportunity to bring that life or that knowledge or that experience that we have that we learn in el camino. Then for that we needed to be the more authentic possible. And I know that it's difficult. It's very difficult to open yourself totally to criticisms or to misunderstandings, but was necessary because in some way that was the key that opened our hearts in the walk.
And I understood that as I read, because you allowed yourself to become vulnerable, very vulnerable, over and over and over again.
Being authentic was probably my greatest challenge during the walk to Jerusalem, and it continued, surprisingly enough for me, to be a real challenge for me in the process of writing the book. Because in writing the book, again, we had to make a decision. Do you make it into a travelogue, or do you go much deeper? And that is where my deeper fears started to come out. You know, what are people going to think of me if they start reading what I really think? And am I really prepared for all the criticisms that I may receive if I am totally authentic and truly speak from the heart about the experiences that really changed me? And so the writing in itself was a process of trying to become more open and to trust that everything is going to be okay. The same issues that I walked all the way to Jerusalem with, I have faced again as we were writing the book. But that journey I am so happy that I took it. And thanks to Alberto continually encouraging and pushing and cajoling and the arguing about really being authentic to who you are is what has made the book, I think, what it ultimately is.
What a nice way to express that. And I agree. I mean, ultimately, who we are is how we express ourselves authentically on our journey of life. As I read your book, how you become inspired and you kind of read and you get a couple of words that kind of come in to summarize a chapter or a feeling or a thought within any text that you read. Well, that same thing has happened to me as I was reading your book. And here's a suggestion. Why don't we play it kind of like a game? I will give you a couple of words that I was inspired from chapters in your book and see how you feed off of this. See where you can go with this. Does that sound fun?
Sounds fun. I think it's a great way to do this. I've
What?
never done this kind of interview before.
Well, neither have I.
Let's play. All right.
Okay, here we go. The veil. What was happening behind the veil?
I'll let Alberto speak to that because he loves to speak in those metaphors of what's behind the veil.
Okay.
I don't know. I believe that always behind the veil is happening something. Just in this moment is happening too. So much bigger and so much amazing that we can see. We are always trusting in what our eyes see, but really who we are, what we are doing here, what it really matters, then that is a very important thing, and I think it's my more important search quest is to find the big questions that always had been, who I am, why I am here, where I go from, where I come from, what is this that I call reality around me. I think that is the biggest questions that because if you start to think and to say, what is the universe? It's amazing. You start to think in time and in space, and that we are a ball of earth here hanging in amazing, huge, infinite space.
Oh, we're flying through it, baby. We're flying.
It just your mind blow. But there are answers to the questions. The point that we don't know doesn't mean that there are not answers to the questions, and the answers really can change our perspective of everything.
Absolutely. And just giving ourselves permission behind the veil to stay vulnerable. Now that's something in itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
It took me a long time to understand the metaphors that Alberto used to try to capture some of the immensity of what was happening to us and that was around us at all times. For me, it was easy to kind of say it in using the metaphors of angels, because that was in a way how they came to me like the eagle and the other omens that were appearing on my path. To me, they came from angels. They came from, you can call it God, but I didn't want to use that term because I wasn't sure what God was. And so the word veil, I came to understand, was just the way of trying to go beyond what we can physically see and touch and hear in this reality, and try to explore what's beyond this reality that we may not necessarily be able to touch with our physical senses, but definitely exists.
That sounds very similar to Plato's cave metaphor. It's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of fresh in my memory because I just finished reading it again. And for our listeners, this is Plato's way of being able to draw of how we come to know by what we perceive, and how difficult it is to conceive things outside of our experience. Okay, so the setting is a cave, and then there are prisoners in this cave who are chained facing a wall, or maybe they're volunteers. but they're chained to this wall, and all they can see are the shadows that pass before them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And for them, the shadows are the forms, not the projections of the forms. And so for them, the shadows, well, that's their reality.
Yeah.
And that is their reality until the day that someone comes down, unchains them, unshackles them, turns them around, and shows them a new reality. And that is an uncomfortable feeling.
Totally. And that is so much more important that we think, because really the answer to that questions is that determine what we do with our life and how we act and how we react to this world or this reality that, is how you think about yourself, who I am. I am a person disconnected, a human being. What is that? Disconnected of that also that surround me?
Alberto.
Or I am so much more,
Alberto, don't say the choice word. you make people nervous out there.
The uncomfortable word that no one wants to hear. Yeah.
Well, I guess it seems to be that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we victims or are we creators? Or
Yeah.
are we in search of our life?
Are we in charge of our lives?
Or are we not?
Well, you guys are reading omens here, because that's my next line. I am the creator of my world and not its victim.
Well, that was something, I am the creator of my world and not its victim, was a phrase that I read in, it may have been Conversations with God, book 1, the Neil Donald Walsh book. And it was a book that deeply influenced me at the time that I was going through all of these changes. And at the time, I really wanted to be a victim.
You want to be in the cave.
I want to be in that cave because I felt I was wronged. I was the one who had things happening to them. I was not the one that was responsible for any of these things that were happening in my life. And it was very awakening, very difficult to accept in the beginning that on some level, I created these experiences that were in my life for the sole purpose of awakening, for the sole purpose of healing, for the sole purpose of understanding love in all of its complexities and using that same love to heal the deepest wounds that were in my life at the time. In that sense, being a creator, I could accept that in a way, because then I could see the people and the experiences in my life as opportunities to grow emotionally, to heal emotionally, spiritually, especially to come to a deeper understanding of who Mony beyond the veil also is, not just this physical body called Mony, but what is giving life, what is breathing life into this physical creation called Mony, trying to come into connection with that part of me.
It sounds like responsibility. It sounds like taking responsibility.
Yes.
It's easy to complain, because then you don't need to move.
It's so much more comfortable.
Exactly.
I have spent a lot of time there.
Yeah, and we all do. I mean,
do.
and there are still moments when I just want to stay in my cave. I don't want to be the victim. I don't want to complain.
Yeah, just watching the shadows.
Right. But it's okay. I do that for a while now. I don't stay there. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I want to feel these feelings. It's okay. But after that, I'm coming out because I know that I'm the one who is responsible for creating it and for fixing it. I'm the one who's responsible for healing it. That's the choice, right? That terrible word nobody wants to hear,
But
we
need to be patient with ourselves, because I think it's in the movie Matrix that how was Morpheus? No?
Morpheus in Matrix.
Morpheus saying
he was cool.
a sentence that he say, it's not the same to know the way that to walk the way. Then we need to be patient, because in some moments we can discover these revelations that really we are the captains of our ships. But this doesn't mean that we know how to drive, to sail the boat. Then
yes,
we are learning to do it, and we need to be very patient and to love ourselves in the moment that we are, and to understand that this is a process, and in the moment that you are patient with you and you relax with yourself, you can do it with others, and the way and this navigation adventure for life can become something fun too,
having fun. And also there's something else I detect, non-judgmentalism, or being non-judgmental even toward yourself. not judging others seems to give us a lot of space to sail our own ships.
Yeah.
I believe really today that when I am upset about something or somebody, it's simply because I don't understand that situation or that person or myself. When I am upset with myself, then there is a lot of understanding and interpretation of what is really happening. From where come this situation? From where come these people? Why they act in the way that they act? Why I am acting in the way? Why I am feeling in this way? Why I am, I'm sure is I know, is I understand totally deeply from where I come from where come these attitudes or these feelings, I will feel in peace totally, and I will accept. I will say all is good, all is good. Then I think that is a big part of the process in the moment that I am.
And also, I think a part of being in a place of non-judgment is ever so slowly learning to detach from the emotions. And I think that has also been a part of my own personal kind of struggle or journey, is to be the observer as opposed to just jump right in and give full strength to whatever emotion is happening at that moment. And you can only be, I think, non-judgmental and patient with yourself when you can catch yourself in the moment when you're feeling those very intense feelings, be they anger or rage or whatever that fear, whatever that emotion is, and to say, this too is passing. This is not who I am. This is another, I think, big part of it too, is to say,
don't identify.
I don't identify with that. Okay, I am feeling that, and maybe I am feeling angry, I am feeling fearful, but it's not who I am at this moment. It's how I'm feeling. And I think in the moment that you can observe that feeling, and that takes work, that's not exactly like,
it does,
hey, I'm observing that I am angry right now. Let me stop that.
And that doesn't mean to reject the feelings.
Yes.
You need to embrace them, but to try to understand them. Don't see like the enemy. It's only like a warning bell.
A warning bell, exactly.
A warning bell for that you focus deeply behind the veil again. What is coming from that feeling?
Yeah.
So you mentioned that there is a process of observing your emotions while at the same time not allowing your emotions to take you away on the storm's winds.
Ooh, that's very beautifully said.
Oh, thank you. I kind of like it. So we end up staying present during the storm. We experience all that the wind and the storm has to offer, and that's the difference. I think of an article that I just finished reading for school, and I don't remember the title of the article, but it's from Martha Nussbaum, and she asserted that our emotions are our first line of communication to our own self, and it's a way of talking to ourself from our stimuli, from our outside world. Our emotions have that first line of response because our conscious mind, our logical processing mind, is set about a half a second behind our nervous system and our emotions. And so when I start thinking about who is in control of my boat, I'm wondering how often I really am in the initial responses, in the initial moments of taking control of my own boat.
Yep.
Yeah, we
So
try.
are we.
We all try.
Well, there we go. We're in a big boat, and we're
We all are.
For that is so important the patience key.
Patience key,
that we say, because even that is a process itself. So there is a process in learning. There is a process in grow, and there is a process in to recognize these feelings and to see what there is behind.
Yeah,
I think.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No.
Yes. You.
At the end, how I say is the interpretations that we give to everything. I think when we react with anger or with fear we are reacting to all beliefs and all interpretations that we have learned when we grow in our childhood, in our youth. These old programs are always there. You can pass them, you can grow and to grow in perspective and understanding of life, but that all programs are always there. And then in the moment that you are catch with sin estar preparado.
Without being prepared in the moment that
in the moment that you're catch
caught
for surprise, the first thing that will come out will be the old program, because we are habitual to
we're accustomed
to them. Then is to in that moment that you feel the anger, in that moment is where, at least is how I do, is I say, hey, stop. This anger or the fear is not come from what I know today. This comes from what I knew in the past, and now I am different person, and now I know different. And then if you can stop and don't identify with that feeling, bad feeling or negative feeling, if you want to call it, that you can recognize what is the vision that you had today about things. And for me, even when I don't understand from where I can, I say to myself, even if I don't understand from where this feeling, this negative feeling, this doesn't mean that there is not an answer or explanation for that. And then even that, it's give me peace and can me focus and to relax. And then sooner or later, the answer or the right answer or the right perspective come to me.
So in this case, time is your friend. You're making time your buddy.
Exactly. Time, relax, and to know that everything can when you are ready, when you allow it.
And it's funny because for me, I would add to that when I am feeling any strong emotion, then I take that as a message from my own soul, from my own self, that there is still something within me that needs healing. Because if that particular experience or situation would be, if it were healed, then I wouldn't be feeling this way. Then I wouldn't be reacting in the way that I'm reacting. So whenever I find myself in moments of great agitation or I'm strong emotion, I usually take that as a sign to say, okay, there is something here that is still looking to be healed. And I'm patient with myself, as Alberto mentioned as well, in the sense that I don't look at situations in my life as there to kind of punish me or to piss me off. Can I say that on the air?
Yeah, you just did.
Okay, I'll just change the wording.
I like the first. It had more impact.
Yeah. Well, the situations that are in my life are really opportunities that I have put forth from a very deep soul level, at a level that I am not consciously necessarily aware of, that I have placed before me so that I may see that emotion, so that I may see that anger or that fear and heal it. And to me, the greatest healer in the universe is love. Wow. And so the work for me is, as being part of the inner work, the continual inner work, the inner journey, the inner cleaning, it's inner healing, to make space for more light, for more love, to be within us so that we can radiate that to the world.
Wow, what a wonderful way of seeing this, that there is a part of us, a wounded piece, a part of us that is wanting to be healed, that's asking to be healed. And in many cases, we just don't know how to do this. We don't know how to reach out. We don't know how even to allow this to happen. And what a wonderful gift it would be to cross paths with people who are doing this internal work, that have the eyes to be able to see this wounded part of the human being, because you have already been addressing and allowing this piece of yourself to be healed in the first place.
When you're doing the work in yourself, it's easy to recognize the work in others. That I think is that you were pointing. And it's easy if you can forgive yourself or you can understand yourself. It's easy to can understand other people. You know, I remember when I had my chain, I had a big chain in my life when I was 28 years old. The first thing that I noticed is that in the moment that I understood from where I come from and all the pain and all the that I understood that I needed to love myself, that I had judged myself so hardly always since I was a child because I didn't know better. In the moment that I understood that I could see myself with love and compassion, immediately I could see the same in everybody, even with people that I thought that they were bad people or that they were, people that only wanted to do pain. Immediately I could see the same, and then I see these are not bad people. It's only damaged people, harm people, hurt people. you know? And that for me was a really big source of peace. In only 2-3 days, I was feeling in peace. I was feeling in love with myself. I was feeling in love even with that people that I felt that they were trying to damage me before, hurt me. And I was feeling in love with life. I could see a sense in everything, a purpose in everything. You know, a purpose. There is a reason for everything. There is a reason for my suffer until now. There is a reason for all that happened. And this reason comes especially from love. Because I think this is a loving reason, a loving purpose for that we are here. It's love that really handles the universe, I think. I have no doubt today about that. It's more than 10 years, 15 years that I discovered that. I had not changed my perspective about that. And really, all the experience that we have in our work and in our life had been reinforcing more and more that idea. It's really love that managed the universe.
Wow. Through your experience.
Beautifully said. Yeah, I mean, you can imagine, Slade, that when you are walking day in, day out, you don't really know where you're going to sleep every night. It's not as if that we had, plans made in advance. We didn't have hotel rooms booked. There were no refugios or shelters like there are on the Camino. This wasn't an organized path. No albergues, no. We were just, imagine two people that you see walking on the side of the road, carrying backpacks and signs that are saying, we're walking for peace. That's literally what we looked like on the side of the open road. And so, for many people, we were an oddity. And so when we arrived at any new place, we would try to find shelter.
Yeah.
And so for us, we had to live and put into practice all that we believed about whether or not we live in a loving universe.
And to trust.
Right. And that doesn't mean that every experience was easy. In fact, there were many experiences that were very difficult that we went through. Never, though, was our physical safety ever harmed. I should say that, like through the 13 countries and the 13 months, never were we physically in any danger. But I will tell you that what was really put to the test was whether or not you believe that you live in a loving universe. And, you can pass through a difficult experience and be rejected or have your ideas ridiculed. But in that experience, can you still see that there is a loving hand behind that and that you needed to go through that experience in order to heal something within yourself, in order to have some aspect of your judgments, your fears, your expectations revealed to you so that they may be healed to you?
To be open to discover, because there is so much more to discover. There is so much more to know. We don't know nothing. We don't know really nothing about who we are and how works the universe and what is the purpose for that we are here. We know very little.
Thus, I trust you.
Yeah.
I'm serious, because we project so many images in order just to be accepted. It's so nice to hear this. And the focal point of the journey itself is permission to allow yourself to be human in the process. Which brings me to the next question, or the next phrase that you can respond to. The way of the sword, the way of the heart, and the way of the soul.
I think Mony will explain this very well.
Well, when I was on the Camino, and I was there in Spain, of course. I was on the Camino de Santiago walking to Santiago de Compostela. I was in my own personal quest. I had just quit a very well-paying job. I was trying to live a new kind of spirituality that, although maybe I wasn't ready to share with the world, I was trying to kind of come to terms with it myself, to understand what it meant to me and to try to live it. And one of the biggest things with this new spirituality was paying attention, listening to unusual signs and synchronicities, the omens. And that became a regular part of my personal journey. And one of my greatest intentions when I was walking on the Camino was to say, what am I going to do with my life? What is the next step for me in my life that has meaning, that goes beyond just working and making money and having all these nice material things? And one day on the Camino, I had just finished walking, I forget what part of the Meseta it was, and I was sitting with some other pilgrims nearby, and I overheard them speaking in English, which back in 2001, there really weren't as many English-speaking pilgrims on the Camino as there are now. Mm-hmm. And so they were speaking, so they were talking amongst each other, and one of them was saying that this path to Santiago de Compostela is called the Way of the Sword. And this is the place where you fight your demons. This is the place where you find your strength by battling your own worst fears, your worst enemies, which are obviously usually inner. And so that was what the Camino to Santiago was called, the Way of the Sword. Then she mentioned that there's another pilgrimage to Rome, and this was called the Way of the Heart, or the Way of Love, to discovering what love is, and not just, human love, but we're talking about divine love, the highest universal love that you can understand. And that definition is unique for every single one of us, what love is. And that was the pilgrimage to Rome. And then there was a final one to Jerusalem, which is called the Way of the Soul. And it is the journey of each soul back to its essence, to its source, to its own divinity. And for me, that was really what captured my heart right away, which is the way of the soul. I didn't feel an attraction to walk to Rome, to walk the way of the heart, but I thought, okay, I will start at the way of the heart in Rome, which is its destination. I will start there, and I will walk the way of the soul to Jerusalem. And the walk for me became one for peace, because I think at that time, for a couple of reasons. I think my own soul was seeking peace. I was in a state of personal inner conflicts, and so peace was I think at a very deep level, that's what my soul was calling for. And at the same time, because of my Lebanese heritage, the whole idea of peace in the Middle East and peace in Jerusalem, peace among people of different ideas and different philosophies and different ways and religions, all of that really tied into my decision to want to walk to Jerusalem for peace. And of course, after 9/11, 9/11 was really the final push for me to walk for peace, because I thought
1 month after.
Yeah, it was 1 month after I finished the Camino. Truly.
Oh dear, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And it became the confirmation that said, okay, I may not have any answers for peace myself. I may not be the perfect model for peace. But I do know that this is a journey that I must make. And the greatest teachers have all said the same thing, that you create peace in the world by creating it within you first.
That calling of peace from within leads us to the next phrase. Trapped inside himself like a bird in a cage.
Yeah, I think we are all, it's some kind of a dichotomy. We are free. We are free beings. We are the creators of our ships, of our life. We are the captains of our ships. But at the same time, we are in a cage. And the cage is nothing outside of us. It's our own limitations, our own belief, our own prejudices that we have learned, or the old programs, how I was saying before. Then that is the cage that really maintain us prisoners. But that cage can open in any. It's an illusion, In the moment that you know better, that you learn and that you grow, you can see that cage is only illusion. But it's an illusion that need to be little by little conquered. Conquered?
Mm-hmm. Conquered. You're good.
Yeah, I don't know if I had explained well, but I think
Alberto,
it's like
I know that this accent that you're doing is just to draw our listeners in. It's very alluring.
It's
totally, and especially for the women, right?
Yes. See, that's you're just trying to. Yeah, I know what you're about. Go ahead.
Okay.
And forgiveness is again another one of those concepts that we all talk about. Yep, we know that it's good to forgive the other, and we know that it's also important to forgive ourselves. And it's one of those things that also has layers to it. You can forgive someone intellectually, and in your mind, yep, you have forgiven them. But that doesn't mean that the energy around forgiveness has also been healed. To me, that's a much deeper layer to heal than just say the words, I forgive you. And, I forgive myself. There is a feeling, there's an energy that goes along with that. And I think those who have truly understood the meaning of forgiveness and have lived it, it is something that is more, it's not a mental thing. It is a physical release. It is a physical letting go. And that happens in ways that I don't think the mind necessarily captures. I think the mind understands the concepts, but the heart, the body, at a very deep level, the release happens there. And that's when I think when that energy, that trapped energy that keeps you in that place of hatred or of judgment, of not being able to forgive, it's when that energy is released. That's when I think you've truly forgiven yourself and the other.
So we can open this door to the cage. However, we can't really force the bird to fly out. We have to allow it to go freely. And so there's a process involved with forgiveness. And that leads me to the next question, or it's not really a question, it's something that you said, is to allow the tragedies that have happened in our lives to be transformed or to change into tools.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. To see the opportunity in everything.
And
that can make a big impact of how we see things, whether things are half full or half empty.
Yeah.
Many people, as we said before, I think this is part of being caught in this belief that this material world is all that exists. And so if I can't give an explanation to what is happening in my life from within this material realm, there is no other explanation. I think there are more and more people who are looking beyond this veil, who are trying to see if there is possibly a higher reason for why this is happening, if there is a loving purpose or a loving hand behind and beyond all that is in our lives. And if it's just something that is impersonal and for the few, or is it something that is deeply personal and for every single one of us? And I think so long as the thinking and the feeling is inside this world of, my mind can't see it, if my mind can't touch it, if it can't be explained, well, don't talk to me about, a loving universe, don't talk to me about God, don't talk to me about consciousness because I can't see it. And so the suffering remains and the pain remains because there is not the opening to the possibility that there is possibly another explanation. That's all.
There is so much. Again, there is so much to know.
Yeah.
There is so much to know. Until now, everybody knows that science had discovered that material, the material objects and ourselves even, we are not really material.
Right.
We are energy dancing in a huge amount of space.
Yeah.
And then you say, what is really life? What is what we really are?
What is reality
from that perspective?
Yeah.
Then it's we need to consider and to question ourselves and don't be afraid to don't have answers. That I think is that make us more fear is that we have no control of that. Okay, what happened really? We don't want to lose the control. We want to know. I want to be safe. I want to be sure of what I am doing. But if we open ourselves and to be, don't have answers to that questions, but with time we will start to receive answers. But we need to let it go the rock where we are holding, we are clinging, and to allow ourselves to fall, even when we don't know what is there behind waiting.
Well, I sure don't. However, I do know something, that my journey continues, and that unfolding that you were talking about is very alive with me. And that's what we're about. And your pilgrimage, my pilgrimage, our pilgrimage together continues.
The journey never ends. Life is a pilgrimage. When do we ever stop learning? When do we ever stop growing? When do we ever stop examining who we are?
And we are all walking, You know,
Yeah.
you are walking, and every person that is listening this program is walking.
Yes.
Or we are walking. We don't know, or knowing, or we don't knowing. We are all walking this pilgrimage, this journey that is life. Yeah.
And you know, thanks to program like yours, like Authenticity Radio is such a beautiful name for the journey that ultimately we all are trying to get to.
Yeah.
This journey of being the authentic selves that we all came here to be, and to be the most beautiful expression of that. So I thank you, you know, Slade, for having this show and bringing your energy and bringing your brand of authenticity into this world, because this too is lifting consciousness. This too is helping change the world and shift the world into greater and greater places of light and love.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you. Well, you guys, I accept.
I'm glad that you accept.
Yeah, I do. I'm learning how to do this because it's so tempting just to kind of flick those comments away, but it comes from your heart.
It's true.
And I honor that because it's true. It's true, and I accept it, and it's very important to accept.
Yes,
and make
it
us
is.
very happy that you accept it.
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
Okay, and here we go. What is your message? Bottom line, very short message for humanity.
The message I think that I would share is that we are never alone. There is a great love that is with us, and not only that surrounds us and that guides us and lifts us, but that love is truly who we also are.
Exactly.
You are love. I am love. And I am here in this beautiful, divine playground to become even more love. So those who are dreaming, those who have grand ideas, those who don't feel like they fit into the mold or the ideas of what everybody else thinks their life should be, I celebrate those people, because those are the ones who are awakening. Those are the ones who are truly coming into contact with the essence of who they really are. And I think if you can remember that in every single moment, you are this divine being, and you are playing here with other divine beings, then I think the experience that you are having will be just marvelous.
Alberto.
Well, I think that what Mony says is the more important thing. We are loved. We are loved. I will add to, in consequence, there is nothing to be afraid. You know, there is nothing to fear. All is good. All is well. Even when we cannot see it, all is well. There is a purpose, a loving purpose in all that happens. And our life is a journey to greatness that we already are, but still we don't know, or we have not discovered at all.
Okay, humanity, you have it. You are love, and there's nothing to be afraid of.
Yes. And you are deeply loved.
Mony, here, help me with your last name again.
Dojeiji.
Dojeiji, thank you.
There you go.
Mony Dojeiji and Alberto Agraso.
Very well.
Thank you for joining us on Authenticity Radio. And will you come back and share with us again?
We would absolutely love to come back and share with
Yes.
you again.
We
Thank
will
you
love
so
it.
much. We
Thank
enjoyed
you.
our little charla, as they say in Spanish, our little conversation.
Thank you so much, Slade.
Yes, the winds have taken us. This is Slade Suiter. Until next time, be authentic, be true, discover your pilgrimness inside, and be free.
Walks